Good evening, welcome to the Goffstown Planning Board. This is a regularly scheduled meeting for tonight, June 13th, 2024. We will begin with our introduction, starting with Joanne.
Joanne Duffy, Planning and Economic Development Director.
David Brown, alternate.
Jim Craig, Select Board Rep.
Philip Devanza.
Scott Ozana, Town Engineer.
Tim Redmond.
Colleen Mayu.
Brian Mazer.
Barbara Griffin.
Richard Freeman.
David Pierce, an alternate.
Thank you. It looks like we have a full board here tonight. Joanne, am I correct? Everyone here that's elected is here? Yes?
Yes.
So there will be no alternates voting tonight. Okay. We'll start with approval and correction of the minutes from May 23rd, 2024.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made to approve the minutes as presented.
As presented.
Is there anybody has any changes or wishes to make any changes to the minutes? Seeing none, we'll vote on the minutes as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Can I just...
Go ahead.
It's just procedural on page 2. I think the numbers for the vote need to be changed. Because it was 5-1-1.
Oh, yeah.
For the first vote at the very top of the page.
Yeah. And Gail will pick that up from the audio. It's not material, but...
All right, so we have a amended
Sorry,
page
I
2 of 19 is amended to show the correct vote as Member Griffin has stated. So Colleen, would you amend your motion to approve amended minutes?
Yes.
Phil?
Correct, yeah, that's fine.
Motion's been made to approve the amended minutes from May the 23rd, 24. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. So we have a request from St. A's Map 3, Lot 62-1 to continue to the June 27th meeting. Joanne, could you tell us why?
Sure. I just wanted to back up. Was Barbara going to make a motion about the minutes?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, before we move on, the planning director has mentioned that we are not going to have a minute taker at the end of the month. I haven't seen anything in the paper or online about an opening. We are not like the Economic Development Council that if there's really no minutes, it's not a material or legal issue. Minutes of this board are required. They need to be done correctly. So I would like to make a motion to have the planning board send a letter to the to the town Board of Selectmen, noting that at this meeting a motion was made requesting that the Board of Selectmen find a minute taker ASAP or some other language in order that the requirements of this board can be met.
Second.
And that is the motion. Thank you, Bear.
So we have a motion to
No.
We have a motion to authorize the planning board to send a letter to the Board of Selectmen or the town to find a minute taker as soon as possible.
And Bear seconded.
I got that. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all's in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes.
Thank you, Julie.
So we'll move on to Joanne's request from St. A's Map 3, Lot 62-1 for a continuance.
Okay, so when I spoke with the planning director in Bedford, she informed me that Bedford would not be hearing the application for the St. A's project, the amended application, until July 15th, and that the deadline for providing that information to Bedford was June 24th. So rather than hear them tonight with old information, I thought it would make more sense to continue it to the 27th so that they can provide us with amended plans that they're showing to Bedford, so we have the most latest information.
Any questions for staff on that explanation? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second.
So does that mean we'll only have 3 days to see it before the next meeting?
But we're not, I thought
We're
of
not
that too.
commenting on it?
But we're only commenting on the
We're the
regional
regional
impact.
impact only,
Yeah.
not the plan itself.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion to grant the continuance to 6/27/24 for St. A application. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all's in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes. We also have a request to continue the map 5 lot 49-1. Joanne, please.
They did not give a reason, they're just behind. I don't know if Scott has talked to them at
They
all.
haven't reached out to me.
We haven't received any new plans or anything. They had a lot of things to answer.
Yeah, they needed to update the traffic report, which
Yeah.
is probably, I think that might have been a third party that actually did that for them, so that could be a delay.
So we're just waiting it out at this point.
Did
So
we ask them to waive the 65-day clock, Joanne?
they had already done that.
Good.
What-
Questions?
What date are you recommending this be continued to?
To
July
the
11th.
20, July 11th. The other one's the
All right,
27th.
I would just say that it seems to me, if we're having a second meeting in July, August is the month we usually don't meet, we should continue it to the second meeting, because his email actually says, and if July 11th is the latest we can extend it to, that is what we pick. So I just think it sounds like they were trying to get this in under the gun, and I don't want to deal with another continuance on July, the early July meeting, and we don't meet in August, so I think we should give them the second date in July, and they'll either have it for then, or it'll be September.
So what is the second date meeting in July? Does anybody know?
July 25th.
25?
Okay, that makes sense.
So will you please inform them that the board has recommended that they can have till July the 25th, but we expect something on July 25th?
Mhm.
Motion to continue to July 25th.
Second.
How long has this been in the map, on the map here? Since when, Joanne? April 25th has started?
I believe so, yes.
Because we had a
Yeah.
conceptual prior to that.
Yeah,
So April, May, June, July. If they don't, tell them if they don't show up on July 25th, they're going to have to renotice. Give them a little incentive to show up on the 25th.
okay.
Does the board concur with that statement? Or is anybody not in favor of that?
I would prefer that you just say it might be that we will ask them to renotice, because if you're dealing with third-party vendors to try and produce information, that is a problem in today's environment.
So then you could say that the board may ask you to renotice.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
That gives us room to wiggle around.
And I think either way, if they're in on July 25th but not ready for approval and we're continuing it, we might still,
That's what, yeah,
yeah.
that's what I
As
mean.
long as they show up and give a presentation with some substantive material, then we can just continue with it.
Then we'll continue it, but
Yeah.
if they have nothing, I think then we consider whether they need to renotice.
All right. So the motion was made by Barbara and seconded by Colleen to grant the request to continue to amended date of 7/25/24. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. And Joanne needs to swear in David at this meeting. Is that going to be after the meeting, or
I already did it.
you took care of that?
Yeah.
Good. So we'll go on to new business. Map 9, lot 1310. Please give the board a rundown on what's happening.
So this is property, it's residential property located on Moset Ave, and it's currently a duplex, and it's just basically they would like to change the form of ownership and turn it into a condominium. So they've shown on the plan the common area. There's a 100-foot PSNH easement running through the site, and everything is out of the easement, so they don't have any issues with that. The wetlands were delineated in October of '23, and they're towards the rear of the property. They do show the 100-foot buffer, and we have already sent the declaration, the bylaws, and all of that to the town attorney for review. He made a few comments. They've addressed those comments, and the documents are all set. So there's not too much to say on this one.
I'll make a motion to accept the application, finding it complete with no regional impact.
Second.
Any waivers, Barbara?
Oh, this is a legal issue only.
So we have a motion to find the application is complete, ready to review with no regional impact. Any discussion on it? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes. So, Joanne, is there anything else you need to say?
No, I
Good to
just,
go?
the only thing I had was, I noticed that where is it? So it's on here. I noticed that the buffer itself, the wetlands buffer, it says buffer or something, 100 feet, but it should be labeled as 100-foot wetland buffer. So it's just a simple correction. And that can be a condition of approval.
Have we ever done this before, or is this new ground for us, Joanne? I don't ever remember doing
Conversion?
changing
We
existing
have done it
two-family?
Yeah,
before,
we've
we
done
really
many.
don't have a
We've done it
lot to
before?
say about it, yeah.
It's kind of what we just did with those new Boston ones that were subdivided and then they did a condo.
Yeah,
Right.
but it wasn't an existing structure. It was prior to construction, wasn't
They
it?
were
No,
like
those were
halfway through
existing.
construction, so that's a little different.
But those were already, they were built.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they were complete at the time, but it's similar.
Do
Yeah.
you have anything for the application tonight, Scott?
I have no comments.
No comments. Okay. So we'll ask the applicant to come up and give us their 15 or 20 cents.
Didn't know I was that cheap. Okay.
That means I want it to be short, Greg.
I can do short, don't worry. I'm Craig Francisco, Bedford Design. Basically, we're taking the existing condo, making 2 units for our existing duplex, making a condominium out of it. This will be a limited common area for one side, this is a limited common area for the other side. This is all common land. This is the easement that's here. Power easement. Wetlands are back here. And yes, I can change my note about the wetland buffer. That's easy. Is that short enough?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question for you.
Uh-oh.
Regarding the condominium documents, since you're going to, since this is going to have a shared leach field, how does that get handled in the condominium documents in the event of a replacement or something?
I didn't bring the documents with me, but typically they both have to pay for it.
And that's something that's not going to come back for a problem to us? Okay. Just wanted to ask.
Same way with the well, if the pump
Well,
fails
it's
in
the
the
same
well.
way, yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I had that same question, and I guess my concern was just that the leach field is within that limited common area for Unit B. So
Yeah.
I don't know, and Joanne or Craig, you would know better than I mean, is that because the limited common area is supposed to be limited for the benefit of that unit?
Yeah, they're using it for a yard, that's why I put it in the limited common area.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
There's no, the yard goes over the leach field.
Right.
Yeah, but
Yeah, the leach field is the yard.
for maintenance purposes and things, as long as the town attorney is okay with the declaration, that would just be a,
I do see that the well radius crosses into the right-of-way. Normally, we get a
Yeah, waiver.
a waiver for salt contamination of any well where the well radius falls into the public right-of-way, so that may have to be added. Scott, you didn't mention that.
No, I mean, the well's existing and the
Well-
lot's existing, so I didn't,
It's a change of use or something to that effect.
It's just a change of ownership.
Even still, you're here with a document that shows everything, and if the well was to be contaminated by salt, and we don't do something about it now, when we have the opportunity to do something about it, I think we're remiss.
Well, what if the owners went and had a water test done and found out that it was already contaminated by salt?
That's too bad, as far as I'm concerned, but I'm trying to protect the town from future liability. When you do anything on a plan, and you come in with something new, we have the right to ask these questions and make these changes, I believe. So it's a simple waiver.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
It's a simple waiver. They just sign away the right to blame the town for salt in their
I
well.
It's
assume
easier
you
to
have, I
do it
assume you have a
now.
standard form.
Yeah, do it now while we're dealing with one owner.
And Scott can provide you with these waiver from DPW, which you can,
And that gets recorded, I assume,
that would get
also?
recorded with the deeds.
So the owner signs it, you guys sign the plan and everything gets recorded all at once? Okay, yeah, that's no problem.
It's just one of our normal things we do when
Sure.
radiuses go into the right of way.
I don't have an issue with that.
Anybody else?
I would
Barbara?
just point out, I'm taking a look at the documents for the septic and well issue. Somebody might want, that's really not it's our interest in that we want to make sure the documents are legal as to the condominium and the conversion. But I actually don't see anywhere in these documents a reference to it. They're not included in the common area. And when you talk about the maintenance, and I'm just looking quick because it's been brought up now. The owner of a unit shall not be deemed to own any water, sewer pipes, wire, cables, blah, 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 because that's a normal clause in regards to common area, but there's nothing about who's responsible for them. So you might just want to check that, because that could be something that a mortgage company or a buyer might bring up.
Anybody else? Okay, we don't have anyone else to speak. You can stay where you are. At this time, I'm going to open the public hearing. If anybody would like to speak in regards to this application, now is the time to come up and speak. I don't see anyone here that's stepping up to the table, so we will close the public hearing. Are there any issues to deal with, Joanne?
No, I don't see anything.
And all the requirements from what you want from this applicant has been clearly relayed to them?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, if we have no other questions or discussion, I'd like to move forward with this application.
So I'd say with the findings of fact that the condominium conversion, the only change is the form of ownership, and because the plan and condominium documents have been submitted and are in accordance with the town's regulations, I would make a motion to approve the condominium conversion for 63 Millset Avenue.
Second.
Conditioned
With the condition,
of final review of final condo documents, because there might be a change and that would have to be reviewed. The map to be modified to show the wetland buffer line as such that a salt liability release to the town be completed and recorded with the plan.
thank you, with
And
those
one other.
conditions.
What? The well ring.
Yep, she included that.
Yeah.
I think I included that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't catch it then. I'm sorry.
Did I?
You said something about the salt.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's different, and the documents, I think that's up to the owner to sort of decide. I'm not,
No, for the waiver.
I included the salt waiver. Okay.
That's what I was concerned about.
Okay.
I mean, it does say in here that they're both responsible for the maintenance, of the site, so.
That's pretty
doesn't
unspecific,
specific-
and
It's not
I can
specific
just
to
tell
a
you from
well or-
experience that will not result in an agreement for the sharing of expenses.
Right. It just mentions that they're responsible for the common area, the
Yeah,
appearance of the common area,
There's other
not what's
references to
underneath the common
utilities,
area.
but not the well and the septic specifically. Because that will be a condo owner nightmare.
I saw the same Barbara and I thought, same,
So Craig, on the plan, you have the large area listed as common area, but you have LCA. What's the L stand for in common area?
Limited common.
Limited common area. But the entire rest of the parcel is common area after the fact, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, any more discussion on the motion?
I'm not gonna say anything, but I was a little surprised that conservation didn't see this, because normally, and I don't recall when this was approved, this lot was approved, I think it was a long time ago, because since then, the Conservation Commission would require little postings of the cute little signs along the buffer. So maybe can we add that requirement?
Where would they be placed, Barbara? On what line?
Do they put them on the buffer? Greg, do they put them on the buffer? Yeah, that's what I thought, okay.
Yep.
On the 100-foot line, is that what you're saying,
Yeah,
Craig?
yeah,
The little placards.
Every 50 feet.
yeah, they're little.
They're generally like a 4x4 plaque or some placard
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
They're not very
Yeah, They're
large.
tiny little things, he knows what they are.
Yep.
So you're
He's got them
adding,
on his other
I'm adding
plan
that as,
set.
Adding that as a fourth condition.
as a fourth condition.
and that is to provide and place the placards delineating the 100-foot setback of the wetlands. And you agree to that
Yes.
also? Say it's 60-foot intervals, Joanne, is that what you said?
50.
50-foot intervals? Okay, that's been added to your motion. Phil added, or Brian added to your second?
Yes.
Good. Any more discussion on the motion? Nothing else to add before we take it to a vote? Good. Okay, the motions are made to grant the application request with the findings of fact and additional conditions of approval to change this from a two-family residence to condominium residence. Colleen and Brian made the motion, second motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes. All set.
Thank you.
Okay, so now, are you on the second one also?
Yes, he is.
Kill two birds with one stone.
Somebody stepped on his tail.
Maybe.
Okay, our next application is map 3 lot 27, Joanne.
Okay, this is a two-lot subdivision. It's located on Addison Road, and they are dividing Lot 27 into two lots, which the new lot would be 27-4. The lots are serviced by septic, private septic and well. The parent lot consists of 7.11 acres. Lot 27 has an existing house that was built in 2008. The lot size for 27 after the subdivision will be 5.08 acres, and the new lot will consist of 2.03. They both meet the zoning requirements of 2 acres. And the frontage of 200 feet. There's several comments from engineering. And we're actually requesting that this be continued in order for the applicant to address those comments.
All right, so before you give any more, Barbara, could you please make the appropriate motion?
Let me just make
Before
sure.
Mark Barbara makes a motion, is this complete, Joanne? So we can accept
It
it
is
as
complete,
Okay.
yes.
And there's no waivers?
There's no waivers, and there's no regional impact.
So based on the comments, perhaps there should have been a waiver request. I make a motion to find that the application is complete and there's no regional impact.
Second.
Motion's been made to find the application complete, ready to review, and no regional impact. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. So Joanne, could you please continue now?
Yes, like I said, that almost all of the comments are from engineering. there are, that you can find them on page 9. And there are 11 items. But the most important would be the drainage report that would be needed.
And the driveway.
And the driveway
The
site
driveway, yeah.
distance.
Some concerns with site distance.
Yeah, can I just say, I have a recollection, not that any of my recollections are stellar, of the subdivision of this section of Addison Road. And I remember when they did that subdivision, and if you look at the abutters notice, there is, this lot ended up being the sort of parent lot from the numbering, 3-27. You can see from the abutters list, there's a 327-2, a 327-3. And one of the reasons this lot had this size and this frontage was, one, the owner wanted the property, and two, there really was not a good way to make another lot out of it for those reasons, for the drainage and the site issues with the easement and the driveway. So when I saw this and I saw the comments, I did not think it was ready for us, because I am not inclined to approve this subdivision unless I know where the driveway is going to be and it's been approved. So,
Yeah, that's pretty much why I made those comments. The driveway, you can kind of see from the contours, but along the edge of the road, there's a pretty steep embankment that goes up maybe 5-6 feet, and then there's the stone wall on top of it. So to get that driveway through, they'll have to obviously cut through the hill, and unless they cut some of that hill back, I think there'd be a sight distance issue to your right. I don't think you'll see the full 200 feet that you need to see.
200 feet's the requirement?
Yes.
to the left, I think it's okay coming out, but to the right.
To the left, the straightaway helps. So
Yes.
the
Yeah.
curve and the profile of the road is curving and going down away from you, and you have that steep embankment to the right. So
Okay.
that's my concern with the driveway. There's some drainage, existing drainage missing from the site plan that I'd like to see on there. With them cutting through that hill, I'm concerned that they'll be adding additional water to the road itself. There's a shallow ditch there. I think those were the design issues that I had. Everything else was pretty much the normal comments.
Joe, I have a question regarding, do we not have a subdivision requirement when you go over a certain number of lots? You have to either have a cistern or you have to make some arrangements with the fire department.
If you remember the old cistern requirements that I believe they're still in the development regulations, were supposed to be updated by the fire department, and we never received the final copy.
Well,
So-
I'm concerned about what they are right now. What are the
So,
current regulations?
The fire captain basically said for this particular subdivision, there was an agreement when they did the first part of it that the houses would be sprinklered. And so he is saying currently this new home must be sprinklered. Are you aware of that?
In lieu of a cistern.
In lieu of the cistern.
In lieu of it? Because I was viewing it as a possible way to subdivide the lot in bits and pieces and not meet the
Yeah.
requirement for a 3-lot subdivision with stipulations.
I have noticed that the fire department is allowing more homes to have sprinklers now than they had before with this new chief.
Okay. Dave, you have a question? Did I see your hand?
Yes, I do on a new subject, so
ahead.
resolve.
We're done.
Okay. The existing home, the existing driveway shows an extension of a gravel area from the existing driveway intruding into the proposed lot. I would be concerned about allowing that to continue for the future owner of that proposed lot, that the existing owner somehow has access to cross the boundary line with gravel. So either the existing gravel area has to be extinguished or there has to be an easement.
Well, that could be a condition of approval. Did anybody pick up on that prior to tonight being brought up by David, because I looked at it about 5 minutes ago, and I thought I wanted to
No,
mention
I saw
something.
it, but given the engineering comments, I thought that
And
was
does that
way,
come
way.
from staff? Does that come from engineering?
What, the gravel thing?
Removing the existing
No, that's
gravel?
our comment.
That's our comment, okay. So we'll add that to conditions of approval when and if that time comes. Any other questions for staff from our board members, either DPW or Joanne?
No, I just wanted to say there is impact fees for this home, which should be in the amount of $8,871.
Well, that'll be listed on the conditions at the end. Yeah, it's right there. Okay. And fire, no comments. Fire's comment should have been,
It is, we have an email.
oh, well, I don't read those two.
It just came in.
So in the foolish email, there's something about the sprinklers?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
fine. Okay, does anybody else have anything else before I ask the applicant to take the chair and give me 17 cents worth?
Up, you're getting more
Wow,
expensive.
it's going up.
2 more cents. It's a more complicated project.
I give him a little more latitude. Okay, we'll invite the applicant up.
Good evening again. I'm glad you're not my client, Mr. Chairman.
Maybe someday.
No, I'm retiring, so that's not gonna happen.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Craig Francisco again with Bedford Design. Yes, I read the comments. I did look at the site distance. That was the first thing we looked at, to be honest with you, before we did anything else. We looked to get the field crew, go out, locate the pavement, do some topo. And I agree, we have to cut that bank back a little bit. This bank right here needs to be cut down a little bit, to see here. Not much. No, I don't think it's gonna be as bad as what,
Craig, where does 200 feet end up? Can you give us an idea on
It's
the
on the
map?
bend.
right about here.
So you still can remove enough soil from the edge of the,
Well, technically, I can remove all this.
except the stone wall you can't. Because the stone wall is a boundary wall between the town of Goffstown and you,
Okay.
and the statute says you can't touch it.
Well, the stone wall's on top of the embankment, so that's what makes it a little tricky.
Doesn't matter. Unless you get an agreement with the Board of Selectmen to remove the wall and replace it in a surveyed location and it goes back exactly where it was. That's the only way around it. And you being from Ware, you know all about stone wall ordinances.
I believe we can get it without the stone wall, but we can,
Deal with that if have to.
yeah, we'll deal with, I'm not gonna
There's a
sit
few
here and argue about this.
drill holes in that wall.
I think it's gonna be Scott and I are gonna have to sit down and talk about the drainage report, and especially a post-development drainage report when I don't know what they're gonna build yet.
I would like, excuse me, Scott, I would like to see any future plans show the 200-foot site distance on the plan for us.
Yeah,
so we can
I'll
see
make a
that.
separate plan. It'll show the site
In the
distance
future.
lines, the profile, and the whole 9 yards.
So, excuse me, Scott, go ahead.
So, we've been doing this more and more lately, and I mean, the urban subdivision that you did for us, you did a stormwater report for. So that one,
That was a little different, but yes.
it was a little different, but I mean, there's still, you know. So part of the problem we're seeing more and more is we get these small 1-lot subdivisions, or I guess a 2-lot subdivision, and they come in and they build something, and we have drainage problems and complaints that we get from people, and we don't have currently any tool or regulation that requires them to provide us a stormwater report when it's time to build their home. So we're doing these during planning board, and you'll pick some BMPs that would work with a lot of typical construction methods. So it could be infiltration trenches along the driveway and drip edges, or a small pond near the road to collect water coming down the driveway. And these are things that we can, one of the conditions is site inspection during construction. So that would be the time where we oversee and make sure that these BMPs, whether that, like the ones I just mentioned, that they get installed. They may not be 2 per plan, because obviously the house isn't going to be right where you show it on.
Yeah.
So it's like a conceptual layout, and I've been saying this to all the engineers that come through. I don't need
I'm not an engineer, don't call me that.
Okay, well,
Let's back up right quick.
all the applicants. I don't need a novel. I don't need a big, long description of the project.
Common sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just
So
need,
you're looking for a drip edge around the house, driveway, possibly a little rain garden in front if we need to,
yeah,
and show a typical 20, whatever,
Yeah,
28
with-
by whatever house, 60 house, something.
and some HydroCAD to back up that, you know, this size BMP would stop X amount of water from running off the site. So, trying to make it simple for the applicants that don't have these, you know, it's not a complicated site, it's not a complicated project. We just want to ensure that we're not flooding our road.
I won't mention
We're
the
not-
town, but Colleen used to work there and it's exactly the same thing, so I think I know what you need.
Okay.
Even simpler.
Simpler than that? Oh,
If
good.
you do envision the driveway leaving the road and coming to the site, what is the driveway gonna look like? Is it gonna be all uphill to the site, or is it gonna be a big crown in the middle of the driveway so the water flows in both directions? What are you envisioning here? I don't see any topo on the lot, really.
Well,
It's on the second page.
on the second page, we've got a,
It's kind of a step up and then it's pretty level in the air.
Yeah, once you get up there, it's not bad.
even for the wall, once you get back, it's level.
Only because, I bring that to light because if you are going to be sending copious amounts of water down a
See a
driveway,
bigger plan?
we would like to
You
see
want to see a
some...
bigger plan?
Thanks. No stuff, Phil? If you're gonna be sending a lot of water down the driveway, we'd like to see some sort of turnouts in the driveway that would dispense the water onto the applicant's land and not ship it all down to the road. It's simple, if you can do it. If you don't need to do it, understood. But sometimes you have long 400, 500, 600-foot driveways that send all their water to the town road. The roads get inundated and the ditches can't handle it.
I don't envision a much more than a 100-foot long driveway, 'cause
Okay.
once you get back here, it gets steeper.
That's fine.
So
Well,
I'm sure somebody's gonna go there.
I would like you to take that into consideration when you're doing your work,
Okay,
to prepare the plan for future looks.
okay.
Anybody else? All right, did you, you kind of got short-circuited there, Craig. Do you have more, you'd like to complete your presentation, or are you? Where are you?
I'm okay with being short-circuited.
Well,
I mean, I showed the placards here, though.
Nice!
I remembered those.
Wrong application.
Well, no, he needs them on this
I'm
one.
gonna need them.
Yeah, no, he was gonna need them.
All right.
Is there any way I can get a conditional approval to have Scott and I work this out rather than coming back to the
No.
board? Okay. I thought maybe Scott,
That is over the top. Good try, though.
thank you. I just thought if Scott was happy, maybe the board would be happy.
Nope. The board would like to hear what you all worked out. So you're gonna need to come back with the rest of the information you need, including the sight line and the BMPs. And something else may come up which you don't wanna know about, but things change, so do the best you can. And come back for another meeting.
Not September, July 11th a good date? Does it give you enough time?
That means he's gotta get this stuff in the week of the 4th.
Yeah.
Like, that would be the other.
You can
So you'd have to have it in by July 4th week,
move it out to a
beginning of that
comfortable
week.
date.
I'm just
Like the
wondering
last week in
when
August.
I'm going on vacation, that's the only thing I was wondering.
Look, you've got July 11th, right? I will say that we rush all these applications, we get them all approved, and nothing happens on lots for months and months and months. So if it takes another 2 meetings or whatever it takes, that's what it's gonna take.
July 11th will be okay.
Good.
I can get this done in a couple weeks.
So does anybody have any questions for Craig before he rushes out of here to come back on July 11th?
Am I correct in assuming the whole issue is, well, sprinklers and the driveway? Drainage, et cetera?
Yeah.
I'm sure this is done with Scott.
Sprinklers, driveway, and drainage study.
And the gravel area that extends into
Oh, yeah.
that lot has to be removed?
Yeah, I'll put a little note of seed, and, yes.
Maybe throw a couple rocks in.
Yeah,
Discontinue the use of it, basically.
something to block it.
Conservation have any comments on this one? There's nothing in the packet.
No, it did not go to conservation
Why not?
Why not?
because they are not meeting until the end of this month.
End of this month?
This
June?
month.
So
The end
it
of
should go
June.
to them now.
It should go,
It
yeah.
could, yes.
Send it to them now.
Yeah. Hattie will call you about that.
Flying
Are
around.
we blue?
Hattie will call you about the
To be
conservation
clear,
meeting.
that was a bug, not a statement,
I know,
Tom.
I'm like, what are you two doing up there?
Putting the gavel down. All right, anything else for Craig? Craig, are you good? Okay, so we need a motion to continue this to 7/11/24.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of bringing this, continuing this application to July the 11th to meet your requirements? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passed. Thank you for coming in.
Hey, we're not doing that.
You tried, Craig. Nice job.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else we have to talk about, Joanne? I still had something I wanted to bring up. I can't remember what it was.
I want to bring up one of my scene development regs.
Please, Barbara, go ahead.
So I think I told you we all met, and then we sent, well, actually, we met with Heidi as well. We wrapped up everything with her. She sent me an email the other day, she still had a few questions. One of the questions was, what do you want to do about the open space section of the ordinance? You know, it's also in the zoning, but it's partly in development regs. What do you want me to do with it? And I said, could you just, you know, leave it there for now, and then if the board decides to change something, we'd have to make a zoning change to do that. So I said, I don't know how.
Why do we have to make a zoning change to,
Because it's in our zoning. It's
right,
part-
but it's not, it's in our zoning as a required / permissive development thing. It's not-
Required,
Right,
yeah.
yeah, for a certain size.
So if the board was changing anything with the open space, we could always take that out later.
Well, but I guess, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind if I follow up.
Keep
One
going.
of the issues with the open
You're the one
space.
gonna make us stay late, not me.
No, I am cognizant. See, that's why I said 9 o'clock. I knew, and I didn't even know this was coming up. First of all, I don't think the open space has served the town well for many years. I think when it was initially initiated, there were large tracts of land in certain sections of town for which it did serve the town well. The tracts of land that do not have approved plans or are large are steep, they have granite, there are access issues, and we see it even in small developments. So I think the time for open space has come and gone. But besides that, even if we were to keep the open space ordinance, and maybe we need to have this discussion at the next meeting, we need to substantially revise our open space ordinance because it is too permissive as to the financial calculation that gets done to see if the buildable lots really could be built out. And there are some other things in it that over time, other communities have changed that we have not. So I guess that becomes a question as to whether the board wants her, if we're going to keep the open space, is my point, that regulation needs to be modified. And who is the person that would give us a recommendation on what to do for that? Is it her, Heidi?
It could be Heidi, but I think she would probably bring in another consultant, such as a planner, which she had someone working with her on this document, but he retired midstream, so she's been doing it herself. So I would think she'd have to consult with someone else besides an engineer. She's an engineer, so she's looking at the engineering things, and he was looking at the planning portion of it.
Well, I mean, I've said my piece. I think this board needs to address open space.
We can have a discussion when the draft comes in, and then we figure out which way you want to go with it. The other question was, and I think I already have the answer to this, but do you want me to bring this to you prior to the town attorney reviewing, because if I bring it to you after, then
Just
there may
review
be
the
more
second time.
changes.
Then it's
and-
gonna have to go
yeah,
back to
You need to see it
exactly.
first.
So I told her I would prefer to bring it to you guys first.
Right.
What else did she ask? She said, I think the other things were just minor. I can't remember what they were off the top of my head, but she's getting closer. I think we'll probably see it by September, the latest.
How long has it been? How
I
long has
don't
this
even
process
know.
been going on?
I have no idea.
2 years?
Over a year.
Yeah, it's over, well over a year.
2 years.
Could
Because
be,
it
I
was
don't
in
know
a
for
budget
sure.
that was the year before this year's budget.
I'm not sure, but I think you're probably right.
I know I'm right, because it wasn't in this year's budget, it was in the prior year's budget.
Right.
You and I
It's
came
more
up
than
last
that.
Yeah.
March, there
I've
was a
been with the
draft
town
that-
Yes.
for like 2.5 years now.
You're
And
still
one of the
working.
one of the first things I did was review that original draft. So
And we gave this to who, Hoyle Tanner?
Hoyle Taylor.
Is there, so you guys have given her comments, is it back in their hands and they're working on it?
Yeah.
Or is it?
The
that she-
final,
Okay.
final draft from staff has been given to her to finalize the comments that we had.
And when
We've
did that
reviewed
go
it
to her?
several times, and there's been, numerous drafts, and now we're at the final draft.
And when did that go to her?
Oh, a while back, about a couple months ago.
All right, because here's my other concern with this. If we drag this out too long, well, that's a problem. But the other thing
Too long,
is
it's already in.
I don't know whether review of this is going to make us decide that other things need to be done. And if we need to hire somebody to do something else, I want to get it into the budget cycle
Barbara, can I ask you a
for
question?
next year.
Let's say we get a draft and there's 2 or 3 things we don't like, can we change them ourselves? Do we need to send it back to a consultant?
I
No.
don't think
No.
We can
No,
change
we
them
can
ourselves.
say,
Yeah.
well, yeah, you can, but it's their work product. It's
Right.
gonna have to go back to them for them to make the change and then send it. That's why I
No, I
asked.
mean, after we accept it. We accept it, we print it, and in a year's time, do we have a problem with 2 or 3 of the things, we fix them ourselves after the fact. We get rid of them. We move them out of the line and take it over and accept it, and then we work with it ourselves. At least get it done, because there's 95% of it is stuff we need. The 1 or 2% or 3% that we might have issues with, we'll deal with it down the road.
Another example is parking. So we have part of the parking in the development regs and part of the parking
See,
in
this is
zoning,
what's gonna
which is
create
really
that issue.
problematic when somebody's like looking.
Right.
So my suggestion would be to take parking out of zoning and put it in the development regs, but we can only do that once a year.
But I think,
So
and
we'll
that
do it when the
hits,
time comes.
the timing being the issue, that if we're not getting things till September from them,
Yeah, yeah.
we're behind the 8 ball
Yeah.
on drafting zoning amendments. I mean,
Right.
it sounds crazy, but we should be doing zoning amendments
Now.
now.
In the
summer,
To
yeah.
prepare for, getting everything in
Yeah.
the warrant articles. So I think that the sooner they can get us
Mm-hmm.
that, so we can see if there are zoning changes that need to accompany, we might be not adopt the changes to the development regs until we can also get the zoning through, but we don't know what we might be changing in zoning.
I can get back to her tomorrow and see where she's at with it. I mean, I just talked to her the other day when she asked me those questions, so.
Okay, the chair recognizes Phil.
Yeah, I was just following up with Barbara's comment about the open space, because we've had those discussions come up several times over the last few years, and it's always been brought up that that's something that we have to look at. And then it's a timing issue with everything that needs to get done. We don't have the time, and it got put off. And 2 that I remember there was one that came in, and I don't want to mention names of who brought them in, but there was one, and it was a slope on the one side, a large parcel, and they wanted to do it in an open space. And we just kind of looked and we kind of shook our heads, but we've had them come in, we've had other ones come in, and they do something, and one of them, Scott will remember, because Scott reviewed it, it was the dead end cul-de-sac down at the end of a parcel. They came in with it at one way with the subdivision, and there were issues with it, and then they came back in as a open space, and it changed everything, and they got what they wanted through the open space. And that's where the issues are. So I don't think it's a simple,
No, I
Hey.
don't. I mean, I guess would the chair mind me asking that we sort of put an open space for discussion? I mean, we can sort of start that discussion without.
We can start the discussion and end it with an axe, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
You know, I was driving
Bring it right
around
out.
over the weekend in the
Really?
Spice Rack, which I don't hardly
Yeah.
ever go to, and I was like, wow, these lots are really big, you know,
Right.
as compared to what's being built today, like John
That is
King
an open
Drive or
space
something.
too, isn't it?
Is it?
It has common
It's
land.
really large
common
lots.
Open space.
Yeah, but
Which
part
one
of
is it?
that,
Which
part
one?
of that was pre-open
Coriander,
space.
cinnamon,
Oh, I don't know.
thyme.
That's
I
way
was
before
looking
that.
at, I can't remember the name of the street,
All right,
but it was the,
never mind.
the original section
Right,
that I
I'm
was
not
in.
sure those were.
Let's,
And I have one other thing.
Go ahead.
Speaking of updating regulations and everything, there is money out there from New Hampshire Housing to update regulations. However, it has to be tied to providing incentives for more housing.
yes, sure.
So I know that you
So,
guys,
since we'll segue right into Bog Road, can you give us a 30-second update on what's going on Bog Road?
so Bog Road, the Dakota partners that were building Bog Road have been dismissed from the project by the financer.
Which is the New Hampshire Housing Authority?
No, it's a bank, it's called the bank,
Something Boston, right?
yeah, Boston Financial, I think it's called. And they had a construction loan due, and in order for them to continue, the bank said, well, you have to have enough money to move this project forward, and they couldn't do it, and they defaulted on the construction loan. So they have someone else in mind to do
To finish
to
it?
finish the building.
Yes.
But also come on as like one of the owners at some point in time, but they won't say who it is at this point because
And
it's
where's
not
New Hampshire Housing
finalized.
Authority in this
New
mix?
Hampshire Housing is one of the financiers. and
Okay.
They are taking everything and kind of coordinating with people along with this bank, I keep calling it bank, what's it called again? Boston Financial.
Okay.
And they are, I've already been in touch with the people over there, and Dakota will be somewhat involved for a short time.
All right, well,
And then they expect the project to start up again in 1 to 2 weeks.
so I'd like to segue into the money that is supposed to come to the town of Goffstown.
Derek's handling
And
that.
how much is that money?
I think it was close to 200,000 or 300,000,
That was 250.
something
Now,
like that.
was that money ever mentioned in our
Huh?
process here? That the town was going to get money?
No, it wasn't actually impact fees. It was,
No,
it was
yeah.
contribution towards towards infrastructure improvement at the intersection.
Oh, we already
because-
have that.
Oh, no, not that
No,
money.
no,
He's
no.
talking about
This is grant.
Invest
Oh,
New
that's the grant
Hampshire.
money.
This
Oh,
is-
okay.
This is a different subject.
That
So
money is not gone to them yet.
I
It's-
want to know if we were ever informed as a board that the town stood to get money from this project as part of the project.
No, because that came at a later date after the approval, and it went through the Board of Selectmen, or Select Board, I should say.
I just
Oh,
find
it
it,
reminds me,
I find it a
I'll
little
go with it.
disconcerting that somehow money appears and the town gets it and nobody knows anything about it until
The
like
fa-
the last couple of months because we have to get this project finished so the town can get that money.
The Hadley Falls project is also received money for the demolition that they did, and that was around $400,000.
But that doesn't go to the town of Goffstown.
No, it came through the town of Goffstown, and the town of Goffstown gave it to the
So are you saying the
project.
money the town is going to get is going to go back into the project?
No, I'm not saying anything. I'm saying the way it was slated was the money was going to come to us in the amount of like $600,000.
Right.
And the select board decided to give them a portion of it, which was roughly, Barbara says 250, roughly around that. There was an agreement that needed to be signed. Derek had been taking care of that. They wanted some changes made to the agreement, so Derek had, made the changes and never heard back from them. So the money has not left the town's coffers.
I'm still confused that the town
He's
is
now
getting
in touch.
$600,000 for this project, and they're going to give $250 back to the project. What about the balance of the money? What is the,
They were supposed to be using it towards things that were needed, improvements that were needed in town. The department heads were working with the select board. Now, the,
I'm,
Who's that money coming from?
yeah, where's the source of that money?
it's coming from the grant, from the state, from the grant that New Hampshire
For
has.
putting in housing
New
for?
Hampshire investment, it came from the money that the state received from the federal government.
Okay.
The money has not left the town.
I know it hasn't gone out, but
And-
I'm just,
Derek is working with the man from New Hampshire Housing who's in charge of this project.
how about some of that money come to the planning board to get, to pay for our redesign of our zoning and our planning?
I thought you were gonna say
development
minute
regulations. Instead of going for something else that I would have a conniption over. All right, this conversation's over.
Motion to adjourn.
Good.
I already put you down. Who seconded it?
What?
I already
No,
got
no,
it
no,
right.
No, 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 no. While we have Selectman Craig here, I wanted to say that I had the opportunity to drive on our latest drivable Class 6 road,
Oh, boy.
which goes to a house that the Board of Selectmen gave approval for that the planning board did not recommend. And I hope every Board of Selectmen takes a cruise on that road, courtesy of probably a DPW truck would be good, so that they will have a better sense of what happens with these approvals at the next Class 6 road application that they always approve. Because it is a disaster, in my opinion. You can pass it, and there is, to my eye, clearing that has gone on property that was not the applicant, and stuff that has been put on property that was not the applicant. So I just wanted to say that.
I'd like to go out there someday when you have time.
I drove that road. I was the first one to go out there and look at it and start this big ruckus because I wanted to see what was going on. And the applicant that was approved to build that house took the trees from the Class 6 road, used an excavator, and pushed them into the woods.
Made it.
Got the stump,
Reconformed the Class 6 road substantially.
got the stump behind his bucket and shoved the tree and the stump up into the woods. Now granted, some of it is his own land, but I don't think the Board of Selectmen should condone him being allowed to make a total mess out of that McAllister Road.
McAllister Road?
Is it McAllister? Yeah.
Kennedy.
Kennedy Hill.
Yeah.
And
Drive up Lawn Brook and bang a right.
And then-
That's the best way to do it.
then the latest infraction, I mean, they built the house with all the trucks coming and going from the top. They did it. The latest
A huge
infraction.
house, by the way, not the little, people listen to what people say, and then what happens
He was
is a whole-
supposed to build a garage with an apartment above.
Well, he built a nice
It's a
house.
huge
Nothing
house.
against him for building a nice house, but it's, what's described and what happens sometimes get disconnected. So the latest issue there was the waste management truck went up to the site and used his GPS and took a left and went down Kennedy Hill towards Route 114.
Oh, God.
And got hopelessly stuck at the bottom, and they had to get a wrecker to get him out of there. Since that has happened, the lower end of Kennedy Hill has been all graded, and there's some material has been put down. It certainly looks like someone wants to use it for a driveway, which was never approved to be used for a driveway. The Board of Selectmen really does need to take a hard look at their approval of this site, and some remediation or action needs to be taken by the Board of Selectmen to get it back to where the statements by the applicant are followed to what they said they were going to do.
And there are more construction vehicles going in and out of there than for building of an apartment and a garage
Well, he's
and
gonna
a
have a tree
Christmas
farm.
tree farm.
He runs a
Because
business.
He's running a business, he's hauling huge rocks out of there, and why that's important is because the access is Longbrook. And this was all part of the discussion about what would the actual impact on Longbrook be, and the representation was, oh, hardly anything, I'm just building this small thing, and I
And
just
have a
want
tree
to do
farm.
this.
2 weeks a
And-
year.
Yeah.
2 weeks a year, we're gonna use the road for Christmas trees.
I remember that. Okay.
Well, that was stated at the meeting, because I clearly
I
remember.
don't
He doesn't
know.
that.
have approval
That
for
rings a
that.
bell.
Yeah, he
No,
doesn't have
that-
any approval for the.
It was just for the building on the
Right.
Sussex Road.
So anyway, we would appreciate, Jim, if you could relay the planning board's discontent with this.
Does Peter know anything about that?
I know Collis does, because I've been in his ear for the last month.
That's why Collis isn't here tonight.
Yeah, because he heard I drove it and he knew it was coming up again.
Carlos been up there multiple times to look. Okay, we had, if
Okay,
there's
now I'm
nothing
done.
else, I have a motion on the floor to adjourn. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes. Thank you, GTV, we're done.